Act 3, Scene 3 is a hard one to summarise, but it has an awful lot of important stuff in it. This is Macbeth's first appearance in Act 3, so the first chance of us to see the state that he is in at this point. First time we've seen him since he went to see the witches. And the first thing we'd note is here, that what we have at the beginning is him not talking in soliloquy. He is surrounded by a doctor and attendants, but talking openly about the witches and their prophecies. He calls them the spirits that know all mortal consequences and tells everyone that they've been talking to him. What's the boy Malcolm? Was he not born of woman? He's referring to these things that would be ever so strange to hear. And concludes by suggesting that his mind and his heart are solid. They will never sag with doubt nor shake with fear. The mind will never doubt, the heart will never fear. And he feels invincible in his head and heart. And essentially what we're thinking about is really the masculinity again that he is showing, especially as he's just insulted the English epicures, the kind of like the English fancy men. In comes a servant, and what we see here is a perfect example of how he treats and deals with those who are lesser than him, which is very different to the way that we saw Duncan deal with this earlier. We saw Duncan dealing with the captain at the beginning, praising him and giving him honour when he doesn't really need to. Here, a servant comes in and Macbeth just lays into him with constant insults. Now, the insults are about his appearance, the fact he appears to be pale-faced, and to Macbeth, that is something that can't be countenanced. Again, masculinity, just like above. Here, I'm never going to have fear. We don't need fear around us. It's not masculine. He tells him to actually go and prick his face and rub it over with blood. And so many times he makes references to this. He's basically insulting a servant for looking scared. Although what the servant says does actually get a reaction. Now, the reaction is very, very important here. When he talks about, he calls to this servant Satan or Seton, depending how you want to pronounce it, which if you wish to think of that as relevant, you can. I don't think it was ever intended that way. I think it's a historical name. What then happens is he drifts off into what I think he really is meant to be a soliloquy here, in which he for the first time starts to ponder life. And this, I think, sets up what we see in Act 5 with Macbeth. He's still very insulting, very brash, very aggressive. But look at these lines. I've lived long enough. I'm ready to die. He talks about the yellow leaf, the autumn of his life. He knows the end is coming. And what he realises is that with the autumn of his life coming, he's not going to get what people in old age should do. He's not going to get honour, love, obedience, or troops of friends. He's not going to get these pleasant things. He's going to get, instead of it, fake respect through fear. Curses, maybe not out loud, but they mean them. Fake honour, mouth honour. People who dare not say what they mean. It's an understanding of his situation and maybe a shift, really, in how he feels. But then, within a few lines, in comes this Seton to tell him that what he's just been told by the servant is true, and he immediately goes back to this brave but violent imagery we saw at the beginning. I'll fight till from my bones my flesh be hacked. I have lived long enough, but I'll fight till from my bones my flesh be hacked. Okay? He's back to the soldier from the beginning of the play. Now comes in the doctor, same doctor that we saw in scene 1 with Lady Macbeth, and he asks him, how is your patient? Not how is my wife, how is Lady Macbeth, how is the Queen, how is your patient? As though he's not taking ownership of her anymore. The doctor replies that she has basically what we'd think of as mental troubles these days, and he's blunt in his response. Cure of that. And then, if we weren't surprised enough by that philosophical view just now, we might be here when he turns to the doctor and for the first time seems to actually show concern about his country above himself, asking or saying that if the doctor could cure the disease of his nature and bring it to health, and that he would applaud him to the very echo. That's what he'd rather have. There's an element, he's been such a bad king, but an element of something special there. Yet again, straight underneath, he's back to feeling invincible. I won't be afraid of death and bane till Burnham Forest come to Dunsinane. The Doctor is not so sure.